coming out. It's awesome to see so many new faces. It's an exciting time of the year. It's a busy time of the year. So I'm glad that you guys are coming out and really seeing what AIA is all about and what so many of these people have to offer. Just going to tell you guys a little bit about my journey here at Ohio State, a little bit about me and what God's done in my life. I feel like I'm screaming. So, I grew up, I'm from Virginia. I come from a Christian household, and I have sweet parents. Mom and Papa Toy are great. They love the Lord. They're a lot of fun. I grew up in the church, loved youth group. Playing hockey in Virginia. It's not really a hockey hotbed, aside from the Mighty Ducks. So that's pretty sweet. You got me going. So I left home when I was 13. I moved to Connecticut and went to boarding school. That's where the train kind of started to fall apart and get off track. Started drinking and doing some pretty heavy drugs pretty regularly. It was a time in my life where I felt really lost and confused, and was looking for something to satisfy me. I poured my whole life into hockey. I moved away. I feel like I invested so much, and that if I didn't make it to the NHL, then my life was meaningless. And I feel like that's such an easy lie to believe. So I was at boarding school for 2 years, moved to Omaha. So kind of on my own a bit. And things haven't gotten any better. Hockey's doing, I'm doing really well in hockey. My first year there, dominating, whatever.
Just sneak that in there real quick.
Some of the guys in the back can attest. Junior hockey's a pretty crazy lifestyle. You're playing with older guys that party like rock stars and think they're awesome. Only we're broke and have terrible clothes and we're not that sweet. So I just kept digging myself into this deeper hole, and I became so lost that I was just searching for who I was, why I was here, what was I doing. Went to rehab for the first time at 16. My parents were real excited about that. And of course, I thought it was an accident. I didn't belong there, obviously. And you would think that would have an impact on me, but it really didn't. Through this whole process, God was just throwing me lifelines, and I was just so blind and too proud to accept it and take His help and take the help that was being offered to me by people around me and people that really cared. And so, going to rehab, get out. I was probably maybe top 10 recruit my first year there. By my third year there, nobody wanted me because I was such a drunk. Come to Ohio State because nobody else wanted me, and my first 2 years were the same thing. Sophomore year, I get kicked off the team. Show up to practice drunk for the third time, and they finally pulled the ripcord. I thought I was too good that they couldn't cut me. And then that's when everything fell apart. I fought to stay on the team, and luckily God had my back there. And then I'm sitting at home in Virginia over the summer, and I get a phone call from this Carl Schleisthal guy with blonde eyebrows. And it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And this is how big of an impact getting kicked off the team had on me. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon on like a Tuesday. I'm drunk at a bar. Carl calls me. I'm like, oh crap, this is a religious dude. Like, how am I going to hide that I'm wasted right now? So he's like, hey, come on out, check it out. I'm like, oh yeah, sweet dude. Yeah, see you there. Get back, and my teammate Jeff comes in, and he was great. He was a godsend. He came in and just really pushed me to check out AIA and explore my faith. And, he told me that Jesus loved me so much that He died on a cross for my sins so that I could know Him for eternity, and that I could have a relationship with Him and know Him and talk to Him, and that He could be a part of my life. And, that was kind of crazy, some guy that I've never met, some guy that thousands of years ago would come and die for me. I was pretty skeptical. as I think anybody should be. I started looking into it and talking to Jeff about it, and meeting with Tom, which I would recommend that you guys do, and Jamie and Carl and Taylor and all those guys. So after I finally took the step, I didn't want to come to AIA because I was like, man, it's going to be a bunch of dorky Christians. I don't want to go hang out with these people. I found some of the best friends I've ever had in my life. I leave and I said I wasn't going to get emotional. I leave in 3 days to go play hockey. And I'm used to leaving, and I'm going to miss people in this room more than I've missed anybody in my entire life. But the community that you have here, the resources that you have to openly explore your faith are unlike anything that you'll find anywhere else. One of the things that I'm most glad that I did in my entire life is that Jeff dragged me out to AIA, that I met and continued to meet with staff guys, that I took a step of faith and trusted this guy that people told me was awesome and I was skeptical about, but I took a step of faith and started reading my Bible and seeing what he wanted from me, and living a life worthy of what he had called me to live for him, and set aside all the foolish things that I had been doing that were just making me feel so empty. So I'm just pumped to see so many of you here. 3 years ago, there was like Taylor and like 2 people, and a couple like blow-up dolls or something. So I mean that just shows. That guy's real. He's moving on this campus. He is here. Don't be scared to take a step out in faith with your team and tell your teammates, what God's doing in your life, or invite them to Bible study. Even on the hockey team, the guys can tell you, shout out, hey, we got team Bible study.